All right, everybody. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. Tell you what, that is an impressive picture.
It's a great picture. I'm very strong.
I know you are. So this is how to write ad copy that actually converts. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Liz and I are really excited about this one. Liz, which I'll introduce later, she's our director of copywriting. She does a fantastic job here. And to kind of preface this, ad copy is massive. It's one of the most important things to do to help articulate your brand. That's how customers will associate your brand, is with your ad copy, how you kind of speak and talk. It associates yourself with your brand. And it's really invaluable whether you're doing an all-print campaign or doing digital campaign. Like, copy still is important. So we're going to launch this off with, if you guys have questions, please ask them. There's a nice little question thing on the right of your GoToWebinar. And we'll try to answer them in real time. I'm going to hit Liz with some quick hitters. And we're going to try to work out and answer your questions in real time. So who are we, right? Liz, I think this is your time to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Liz. I've been with ASI for almost 5 years. As Colin mentioned, I'm the Director of Copywriting for the marketing department here. I've been writing professionally for a little over 10 years, and so I'm excited to share some information with you today that I hope is helpful.
And then I'm Colin Roth. I'm the digital marketing manager here, and recently I took over doing the webinars, which I'm fired up about. I think, Liz, you might be our first guest on the ASI.
Oh, really?
I think you're our first guest.
Oh, I'm honored for that.
Yeah.
Great.
But before we get started, Liz, what is the most important part about writing copy?
Audience, audience, audience.
So it's really key that you understand who you're talking to, how you're talking to them. So we actually have a poll, and I see a couple of you already started to vote. And the poll is pretty straightforward. It's who writes the ad copy for you. Do you use an internal copywriter like Liz? Do you hire a freelancer on Fiverr or any other service? Do you do it yourself, or do you use ASI's marketing department? ASI actually has free, we'll make ads for you for free if you purchase either print or digital, which is super sweet. Liz actually does a great job, and she has examples throughout the presentation of copy that she's written. So while those come in, and it looks like most people are saying that they do it themselves, which I find kind of interesting. You think that, like, a lot of people do freelancers, but a lot of you guys are do-it-yourselfers, and you like to take it on head-on, so I find that interesting. But now that we know that, we can kind of structure this conversation around the do-it-yourselfers, which is probably why you're in this webinar to begin with. So without further ado, Liz,
Yes.
What's your first tip for us?
Okay. I'm going to go through 6 general copywriting guidelines, and then for each guideline, I'm going to get into some specifics and show examples so that hopefully you can replicate them in your marketing. The first one we're going to talk about is something that professional writers learn very early on. It's called KISS, and it stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. So what you want to do anytime that you're writing is you want to be clear. You want to just say exactly what you want to say. You don't need to hide behind fancy jargon, or you don't always even have to be clever to make an impact. If you have free shipping, just say it. If you have a sale going on, just say it. Great quality, just say it. Be very direct. So the example I have here is from DSW, which is a shoe store. And I love this email because as soon as I open it, I know what it's about. They have free shipping. and the headline with the shoes get pumped, it's a little clever, but it's simple and it's to the point, so I know what it's about. It's about pumps right away.
I even know what it's about. I have bought women's shoes 0 times. I proudly say that, everybody.
So yeah, this is a great example of just being direct. The second example that I want to show you is one that I worked on with one of the designers here, Rick Angeloni, for a supplier called iMark. What I tried to do here was keep everything very short. I mean, look at the headline. It's 4 words separated by periods, nothing complicated, and we want it to be very to the point. The subhead, we don't charge for creating memories.
But I think that is key. It's like you look at classic advertising even from like the 60s and the 70s, and it's one word, it's 1 or 2 words. I mean, they really try to pull you in short, quick. There's no need to have like a long-winded like, oh, we have free shipping, we have the best products and this and that. Like, just focus on one thing you do well, like what iMark did. They focused on one thing, right?
Well, and the idea is, too, this is a print ad. If someone's flipping through a magazine, if all they see is the headline, they know right away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Original, memorable, personalized, free. They got it. The other thing I want to point out here is that I did mention the free personalization multiple times if you see it. I did that on purpose because iMark was concerned that someone might not believe that it was really free.
Oh, really?
So another way, if you have something that you're offering that's a really good deal and you're concerned that people aren't going to believe it or they might miss it, just it's okay to say it more than once to make sure you're reinforcing that thought.
Interesting, because I've seen this too. When I do email marketing, you want to like put the same link multiple times in an email, so it kind of reinforces it. That's interesting.
If you're doing a multiple page email where you have a one page that links to another page and you have an offer, you want to put the burst on both pages. You think people saw it the first time, just make sure, put it on the second page too.
Wow, that's a really, really good point.
Yes.
On to the next one.
Yes. So the next part about keeping things simple is to stay concise. You can use less words than you think you can, and this is something that, I mean, it's a struggle for any writer, and I'm sure it's a struggle for people who aren't writers and have to write, but it's very important in marketing. And the example I'm showing here is from JibJab, and it's an email promoting their Storybots product. Immediately, you know it's for kids. It says your child is the star in big, bold lettering, and look at that. There's only 1 sentence there, and then there's a button, Get Started. Then underneath, what are the Storybots? Again, 1 sentence and a button. So could they have included more details? Yes, but it's not necessary in a marketing email because think about what you're trying to do. You're trying to pique someone's interest and entice them to want to learn more and try a product. If you tell them everything, you're not going to get them to take an action.
I love this email because I can look at it and in 3 seconds I know exactly what it's about. And I have all the information I need, and they do a great job, even with the button copy, of get started, then to learn more. Mm-hmm. They really combat a lot of that, which is cool. I think that's good. And
the thing I want to share too, like I said, this is challenging. I mean, it's always a challenge for everybody to be concise because we like to use a lot of adjectives and we want to try to sell something. So what I suggest doing, something that I do as well, just write your marketing piece. Don't overthink it. Just write it. And take a break then. Write it all out, then take a break, go do something else. Then when you come back, you have fresh eyes. Read it, and really decide if every single word is needed to get your message across.
So that's how you do it.
That's how I do it. Oh, wow. And then you can remove the fluff, because in marketing you don't have someone's attention for a super long period of time, especially in an ad, so you want to try to grab it right away. So that's a good technique to use and to apply when you're writing promotions.
One of the marketing managers, she's a legend here, what she always says is she says, if I had more time, I would have wrote less. Which I find, yeah, I mean, and it's true. Like, if you think about it, like, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So the next part of being simple, bullets. That's another suggestion I have for you. This is an example of an email that I wrote here at ASI. It was for distributor membership, and it talks about ESP. Where you see those bullets, originally in my first draft, it was a paragraph. And when I saw it laid out in the design, I just felt like it was too much block copy and that the important points were buried and they weren't going to get read because of the block copy. Studies show that a lot of times people, when they see a marketing piece, their eyes go to the bullets or look for bullets. And so if you have block copy and there's no bullets, people might not read it. So what I decided to do was everything you see there was in the paragraph. I just extracted it from the paragraph format and I just bulleted it. So you have the most important information is right there. It's easier to see. And if you notice, too, from a design standpoint, it creates more white space. And white space in marketing is your friend.
Oh, yeah, that makes it a lot easier to read. Yeah, and I find it so funny that you happen to have a tip, and then the next one is how you used it. That's really, really helping out my presentation here.
So what's the second one?
Yeah, what's the second one here?
The second one, customer reviews. So there are two ways that you can use your customer reviews in your marketing. The first way is to do what you see here. Now, this is the bottom of the Jib Jab email I referenced earlier with the story box for the kids. This is the bottom of that email. You can do this too. If you receive positive feedback from your customers or testimonials, reviews, make sure you get permission to use it, but you can quote it and stick it in your marketing. Study after study shows that this works. When there's an A/B test and they use an email and they use the exact same email with a testimonial, the testimonial one always does better. So as long as you have permission, take the testimonial, drop it in your marketing, it's going to help.
So you said that just take this review copy and then make it work into your campaign. So let's look at this first one. My son, who will be 5, loves your videos, excuse me. We do a letter a day. How would you work that into an ad?
Well, like I said, the first way to do it is just to quote it like they did here. The second way to use it, the second way, is what I would do. If I was a copywriter and I was working at Jib Jab, I would take that first one that you just read. I would take that second sentence, we do a letter a day, I'd turn it into copy. I'd call it, I'd stick the headline on my marketing piece, do a letter a day. And that would be the headline for the marketing. So really look at your customer reviews, your customer feedback. Take a look at it and see what you can extract and use that for your copy, because what's a better way to reach your customers and prospects than to talk just like them? I can't think of another way that would be more effective.
No, you're definitely right. I find that interesting. I'm sorry, I scrolled through by mistake.
That's
so
okay.
We got back on it, though. What's the next tip here, Liz?
We're going to go on to your favorite topic.
This is, and you know what's funny? I wrote down it's my favorite.
Yes. Be human. In your copy, you want to focus on being human, and what we mean by that is you're going to want to write the way that you're speaking. Think about using short sentences. Imagine you're talking to your prospects and your customers. You want something that's easy to read, more conversational. You also don't have to be grammatically correct and proper all the time. Your customers are not grammar teachers, and I think that most people appreciate the conversational tone as opposed to something that's very formal. It's just more inviting and more warm. So in the example I have here, I got a short email from Copy Hackers. I was trying to subscribe to their email list. And I got this, and I laughed right away. And I think I even might have sent it to you, Colin. I can't remember, because it was it was so typical of what Colin always talks about, too. So the headline, get cool info and shizzle from Copy Hackers. So they're using a little slang there. It's funny. And then the content of it, very direct, very to the point, and very clear. Please confirm subscription. The button says, yes, subscribe me to this list. And what I love is underneath. If you receive this email by mistake, simply delete it. You won't be subscribed if you don't click the confirmation link above. Fantastic. I know exactly what this email is. I know exactly what happens when I click that button. I got it, and I laughed when I read the headline.
I love funny headlines, and just because it catches you off guard. I mean, how many times you received an email that's just confirm your subscription for this yada yada newsletter? It happens all the time, but when you get that, it really speaks volumes, especially from something like Copy Hackers.
Yes.
And now we come to our favorite part of our presentation, Colin's Cool Copy. So this is my first gem that I found surfing the web, as they say. It's from Tumblr, and this is after they redesigned their website, so everything was different and laid out, and they just said, don't freak out, your things are all right here, blog info, everything, and then they have 2 buttons. It's wait, why, or okay, phew, which is, as a consumer, this is exactly what I was thinking, is wait, what's going on? and then they explain like, oh, okay, I can either click here and find out what's going on, or okay, fine, I just need to know where everything was. And I just think that's a great way to use humor and an open, friendly tone. Again, not recommending this for every business, but using that really personal tone does help a lot.
Yeah, and they use few. I mean, like,
yeah.
That's great.
That is
again, not something you would see in, you know, a formal setting, but it
right.
works for their audience, and that's what we were talking. That's what Colin mentioned in the beginning. Think about your audience, what works for your audience, and then use that type of tone and language.
I think that's a great one.
Okay, the next thing I wanted to discuss about being human is more you, less I or we. What I mean by that is that you need to remember who's important to your business. It's your customers. So your company is great, but you have to make sure your main message is what you can do for the customer. So don't talk about yourself first, talk about them. It's really, really, really important. So this is an example I found in my email from the Grommet, which is a great website to shop for unique gifts. I made a purchase there. I got this email. Look at that headline. There's 2 yours in the headline. Your opinion matters, so does your time. Right away, I feel valued, and I haven't even read this email yet. They also use your on the verse there, free shipping on your next purchase. And then in the body copy, they use you and your, I think, 3 times. Now, they want me to take a survey, and they want me to feel valued, and they say they know the survey takes time, so they're offering me something free to fill if I fill it out. Very human. So you and they're your friends.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because when you're talking about like making things personal, if I'm talking to you, like I'm talking to you now,
yeah,
I don't use I, or I don't use we a lot. I'll say either you or I will say you. I won't say I, Colin Roth. I'll just say, well, sometimes I do say that, but
every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then. But I'll just say you. Like, what are you thinking? What does this make you feel?
Yeah, it's a really great thing to incorporate into your marketing and even on your websites too. Today I'm not really talking about website copy, but it's important. And it's hard to do because you're trying to sell something. You want to say, oh, this is great, oh, this is great, oh, this is great, you know. But if you try to reframe it and put the customer first and then follow up with your benefits and your features, I think that's the best way to do it because you're gaining their trust right away and they're already interested. Like I said, this email, I was interested immediately because of that headline.
Awesome.
All right. Our 4th guideline is to entice people to take action. This is one of my favorites. So the best way to do this is to put your verbs first in your copy. It really does make someone want to do something by putting them first. And what I have here is an example from Progressive. Look how many times it starts with a verb. In the subhead, try snapshot. Then in the body copy, test drive snapshot. Then on the button, sign up. Under here's how it works, all verbs, plug, drive, get. It's so helpful, and it really makes people want to do something.
I think this is one of the better examples because it shows a bunch of points that Liz is trying to communicate, which is, one, let's use human words, like let's be human, let's use bullets, and let's make short copy. If we look at here's how it works, just if I glance at this, I get that there's 3 steps involved and that I can get everything in just if I plug, drive, and I get it. That's all I have to do. It's easy.
Yep.
I love this example.
Yeah. And it's not here, but if you're ever looking at a headline and you're not sure if you like it or not, put the verb first. Just move the verb.
Really?
Yeah, move the verb to the front, and you'll probably like it more, and you'll feel like it's gonna entice someone to do something. That's what marketing is all about. So the next thing I want to talk about is the call to action, and all of these emails and ads that we've shown you, they all have different calls to action in them. So I just wanted to point out that it's really important to include a call to action and not just to include the phone number or the email address. You want to tell the prospect or customer what to do. Say call and put the phone number there. Say email and put the phone number and put the email address there. Or if you want more of a soft sell, then send them to your website. check out more of our products, visit blah, 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 blah.com. It's really important. It seems like it should just be natural for someone, but it gives them an extra push if that verb is there to entice them to do something. And the one thing I run into with working with suppliers on their ads, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, is that some of your customers want to email and some want to call. Some people they prefer one or the other. So when I am working with a supplier and that's the case, even though I advise one call to action, there's a way to do two that works. And that's what Best Buy did in this example. You'll see the main call to action is to add a user now. If I want to do that, I'm clicking that yellow button and I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But if I see that and I think, I want to talk to Best Buy, I kind of don't want to do this online, and I look underneath, there's a phone number. So what you want to do is you want to make one call to action more dominant than your other call to action. This is just one example of how to do it. And I love this because if I'm looking just at the email, I see the button. If I'm looking for another way to contact them, the number's there, but I'm looking for that number. So if you want, I would say make your preferred form of contact the boldest, the biggest part of your promotion. And then if you want to include that secondary contact, no matter what that is, put it there, but make it smaller so it's not distracting. Because when you have people trying to make a decision, should I do this or should I do that, they usually don't do anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, you definitely want to tell them what to do, or at least make it obvious. God forbid somebody is looking at your ad and they're just like, well, how do I what's the next step? You want to make sure that that's very clear.
Yeah. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is using first person on your buttons. So this is for digital, for emails. And I guess too on websites.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You want to use first person. It works better, and this example is great. I love this email so much. And I also want to point out, look at the headline. It's got your in it and you. But so obviously this email is about steak, and if I didn't want steak, I want it now. And at the bottom, you see that button. I want more steak. Yes, I do want more steak.
That would make me want more steak. And to your point, they do a great job too. Look how clear and concise everything is, and it's action packed.
Yeah.
Talk about introducing. They want you to know what's going on. They want to make sure everything is clear.
If you only read the red part, you get steak done right. I want to see more steak. So you can actually so there's an example of pulling something out of the headline, carrying it into the button. And even if the rest of the email isn't red, that part stands out.
Oh, yeah.
So you can connect the two as well.
I didn't even notice that. That's really, really good.
Other examples probably that would be helpful for all of you could be things like shop now, I'm ready to shop, things like that would be ways. So even if you're using first, you don't always have to say I. Sometimes it's a little long.
Right.
But if it can work, put it in.
I think a good one, just off the top of my head right now, is I want imprinted logos on my shirts, or something like that could even work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on.
Okay, there is a way that you can combat common objections right off the bat. And what I suggest doing is in your digital communications where you have a button or a form like I did here, just tell your audience it's going to be okay, they're not committing to anything. So right there it says no obligation, just a friendly conversation. It just makes the prospect or customer feel more comfortable that they're not signing up for something and that they know what they're getting into. It's just it's a nice way to create a better rapport with them.
This is a great way to establish that trust. And it's also a very quick way to break that trust. So be sure that if you're saying we won't spam you or you're going to get free shipping, that you actually follow through on those things. Because but again, customers appreciate knowing that going into it. It puts them at ease. And guys, guess what's up next? Our favorite part, Colin's cool copy. So Slack this is from their website. This is a digital messaging tool that we actually use. It's a really fun tool, but they combat copy all around this button. Slack is free to use for as long as you want for an unlimited amount of people. That's probably one of their first objections they get, so they combat it right on that form. And also the button is sign up for free. I imagine this being an enterprise, a business-to-business play, that they get a lot of, oh, if it costs money, like we can't really invest in it yet, but they combat that instantly by saying it's free upfront twice.
And I also want to point out something too. Earlier I mentioned staying concise, trying to not use a ton of copy. I was actually initially, when I read about doing this, I was hesitant about putting the combating objections by the button. However, this type of extra copy is helpful because people see it and it makes them feel comfortable. So even though you're trying to stay concise, I would say something like this is an instance where you're going to want to make that statement, be clear, and if you have to use a few extra words, it's okay. You're making the prospect feel comfortable about what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think everyone wants to be comfortable. No one wants to feel like they got tricked.
Exactly. Okay. Fifth guideline I have for you, benefits. Benefits. More benefits.
I love benefits. So does Liz, apparently.
So your products and services are very important, but you don't want to forget to talk about what they mean to the customer. The benefits of your product are what's going to close a sale, and that's what helps you build an emotional connection with your prospects and customers. So for every one of your features, just ask yourself why your customer would care and what's in it for the customer. And then make sure you're including that copy in your promotion. In this example, Opus Line. This is an ad designed and written by ASI for Opus Line. As Colin mentioned earlier, I do copywriting, and one of our designers in marketing does the design for ads when an ad is purchased. If the supplier needs assistance, we do that. This is one of those examples. So Opus Line saw a huge uptick in response after letting us do these ads for them. In this ad, if you look at the burst, you're going to see in yellow benefits. So if you look at it, what do you know? Opus Line makes it easy to save, easy to get, easy to shop. That's what you're getting with Opus Line. Then underneath, we have the feature part of it.
Okay.
So it's easy to save because they have highly competitive pricing. It's easy to get because they have quick turnaround times. It's easy to shop because there's a variety of products. So that's an example. You're not taking away from your features. Your features are still present, but just trying to tell the customer immediately what they're going to get, what's in it for them, and appeal to them instantly, and then the supporting information is right there too.
So yeah, that's great too. I even like how it's just easy to, and then it's all three verbs. So it's an easy statement with three verbs: save, get, shop.
Yeah.
Love that.
And it does tie into the subhead as well. We make it easy to get what you want when you want it. It all is related. And then call to action at the bottom, make it easy, call Opus Line, etc., etc. Again, that easy theme is carried throughout the ad. And at the bottom, they wanted all of their contact information, but you'll see the number is the dominant call to action.
Wow. Yeah. That's a really good tip too. That's a good one just in general. To have a bunch of contact, but put the one out front that you want them to use.
Yeah, because it'll stand out the most. People will see that first. The last guideline we want to review is that everything in your promotion should have a job. So writing effective copy is a lot easier if you break it down. Don't think about selling from your subject line. So think about what each component of your marketing piece should do and write copy that aligns with that goal. And Colin is going to go over an example for you on how to do this.
So what's funny is I actually had an email that I did because I'm pretty narcissistic, but but then last night I got this email from Edgar, which is a social media platform, and I was just like, we have to use this. So 11th hour, I got in this morning, I changed this, and this subject line got me to open it because it's clever, it's funny, it's you're invited to Edgar's fancy schmancy SoCal meetup, and it's perfect. It instantly answers that it's going to be a meetup, that it's going to be super awesome because they used funny copy, and where it is. Basically, that's all you got in that. And then if you look, too, in this copy, it's very clever. This cephalopod is in San Diego. I mean, that's funny. Or the cephalopod, sorry, is in San Diego. It's funny. It's clever. It speaks to their brand. So we talked about, like, copy's got to speak to your brand and be all that fun stuff. And what it does is it actually links you to a Facebook page. So we'd show you the goal of that, but everyone's seen a Facebook event page, so I didn't want to bore you. But this is an excellent example of they wanted to use the copy and the subject line to get you to open it. Once you opened it, they wanted to keep you amused by referencing their brand and then move to making sure that you knew about the event and how to get the event. And they actually do 2 links, so that reiteration thing this is just an A+ email. If Edgar has great emails, and if you guys just want funny emails, subscribe to them. That's great.
So when you're thinking about your promotions, especially like for instance an email promotion, if you have an email promotion, your subject line should get someone to open it. That's all the subject line has to do.
Yep.
Get somebody to open it. Then on the inside, this email is a little different because it's laid out all text, but if you have an email that's sort of a little more designed, you want a headline that's going to grab attention.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the headline, I never use them because I do text emails. But the headline is so key, and you had examples before of how that's crucial.
Well, even and in print ads too, you need a headline that grabs attention, or someone's turning the page.
Yeah.
So that's all your headline has to do. You don't need to sell someone in the headline. You need to grab their attention. And then when you're looking at a buttons job, you want somebody to click it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Get
them to click the button.
That's why we have buttons.
Like, I want steak. I want steak. Get somebody to click the button.
We got to use that in a campaign. We'll figure it out. We have some good guys. We have some good guys.
When you're working on something, just break it down into the different parts and think about what the goal of that part is and write it to meet that goal. Don't make it more complicated.
I think we see that. I see that a lot in general with like people trying to make marketing more complicated than what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need to.
All right. Liz, with that, what are our 3 big takeaways?
You want to break down the goal of your ad. Obviously, the goal is going to be different for each one of you. You all have different customers, different prospects, and you also want to look at the type of media it is, and that's going to also contribute to what the goal is. The other thing you want to do, like I just mentioned, don't make it anything more complicated than it needs to be. Try to, use simple copy. Make sure the messaging is clear. You don't have to be fancy with it. The third thing, think about the profiles of your customers. And you can, to do this, you can think about yourself. What makes you open an email? What makes you take action? And then think about, okay, now carrying that through, if I was one of my customers, what would motivate me? And if you work through these 3 things, it will help you craft copy that converts.
Well, that's great. And you know what's funny is, guys, we're going to look at Liz's takeaways. Bullets, short, clear, concise, and she uses you. Boom. It's almost like you're a copywriting director or something.
I know.
So, guys, that's all. That's all we have. We're going to spend the next half hour just answering your questions that you have. If you have anything specific, we'd love to just hear about them, and we can definitely help you out. Typically what we do is people submit questions, and then Liz and I will just answer on air. But yeah, with everyone, clap. Thanks, Liz.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And I thank everyone for joining us. Come back next month as we will talk about some other fun stuff.